Yeah. You know, and I know that Lomachenko's a legend. Like, it's hard to call him out. Oh, Haney will do this, Haney. But all we're saying is that Lomachenko is going to wait for the winner. They tell me that both guys, Connie and Lopez, have agreed to fight Lomachenko if they win. Lou might tell us different.
No,
but,
that's true.
Right.
So,
do you feel the bigger payday will be with Gervonta Davis?
yeah, but he wants a belt. I mean, that's what Devin Haney wants. He wants to win a belt at 135. So what we're saying
I'm saying
is,
as far as Lomachenko deciding who he wants to win.
what are you saying?
Do you see Gervonta Davis in a Lomo fight before you see a Lomachenko?
No,
Devin Haney?
no, I don't see either of them. I don't see either of them. I mean, Bob's not going to say it, but what I'm saying is, Lopez is fighting Connie in December. Lomachenko's waiting for the winner of that fight for the undisputed fight. That fight's not going to be till May, April, May, June. So what's he going to? He boxed in August. So is he going to sit out for 10 months, Lomachenko? If he fights in the interim, the fans should almost insist it's his mandatory challenger. If he fights for the undisputed, I understand. Every fighter should try and fight for the undisputed title. But if not, I believe he should face his mandatory. Lomachenko is not afraid of anyone. He'll probably look at Haney and go, I like that fight. I'm sure he wants to fight Gervonta Davis as well. But whether that fight will be allowed is another story.
Hey, Eddie, how are you guys so sure that, with all due respect to Devin Haney, he's a great kid, but how do you know he's as great as you think he is without fighting a big name? I mean, Lomas made Nicholas Waters quit, Rigondeaux quit, he's fought Gary Russell, he's fought Salido.
Lomachenko is a legend.
Right.
As I said, like, you can't compare the two.
But aren't we kind of crowning Devin Haney a little too quick?
No, I think he boxed the number 2 in the WBC, who, understand, I wouldn't say he was an elite world level fighter, he's a world class fighter, made him look like a journeyman. Couldn't win a second of a round. Like, that was supposed to be a solid test tonight, and it's not just, I appreciate there's a lot more tests to come, but it's how he's dealing with these, how he's improving. And I just don't think that in terms of current lightweights, there's much more of a tougher test than Lomachenko and Devin Haney. You know, I can't see how he can't give even Lomachenko a great fight. They think they can win. I mean, maybe Lomachenko's unbeatable, maybe, but you can't. There's no one sitting here that says they wouldn't want to see Lomachenko against Devin Haney.
Lomachenko not unbeatable because he already lost.
Yeah, okay. But he did come in 5 pound heavy in that fight, Salido.
But he's a journeyman.
He's a journeyman, it's a bit harsh.
Eddie,
Salido's a journeyman. Well, don't say that in Mexico, you get shot.
Eddie, so with Devin Haney as the mandatory challenger for Lomachenko now, what kind of a fight should you be looking to make in November on the KSI Logan undercard with Devin Haney if he fights on it?
He'll be defending his WBC interim title. So he'll be fighting most likely a top 15 guy from the WBC. It's 8 weeks tonight. So he's just getting the all clear from the doctors, which we don't expect a problem. And he embraces that card. You know, I know there's been a lot of sort of talk about that card. Couldn't be more perfect for Devin Haney, that card. Couldn't be more perfect. The millennials, they love Devin Haney. Hopefully he wins millions of new fans on November the 9th.
Hey, Eddie, to piggyback on what Roger said, Haney is great, but how do you know until he fights somebody like maybe like the loser of Comey versus Lopez, or just somebody that's, I mean, he said the guy that was you're fighting tonight was, you know, ranked number 2 in the WBC, but I mean, I don't think you would put him anywhere in the top 5 of, you know, weight class. So how do you really know until you fight somebody that's really great, get hit with a good shot? How do you really know?
By fighting somebody great. Yeah, I mean, we want to do it, you know, we want to do it, and that's why he's got to mandatory. He's not got to mandatory and said to me, can I just have 3 or 4 easy fights now? He wanted to get the mandatory because he wants to fight Lomachenko. So let's find out. You know, I just think, I agree with both your comments that there are levels above, there's levels between Abdullaev and Lomachenko. And I'd like to see him go to those, you know, be in those levels, but he's mandatory. But he's dealing with those guys so easily, it gives me great confidence that he can deal with the rest. But, you know, I mean, I think they're bold. Like I said to them, do you want to chase Lomachenko? Yeah, do. we like that fight. I mean, they'll be here, you know, Bill will tell you they believe they can win that fight.
Yeah, so in the past, you made offers for, let's say, like trying to make a Gervonta take Davis fight, Devin Haney on his own. And would you be willing to do something like that to try to get Lomachenko?
Yeah, it won't work, but I might do it for fun.
Why wouldn't it work?
Well, because he's not allowed to box on another platform. You know, we had the whole thing with Crawler. You know, when Crawler was mandatory, we were going to go to purse bids. They told me clear, if you win the purse bids, we will vacate the belt. Lomachenko is not allowed to box on another network. So what I will do is I will make an offer to Lomachenko, because I think he's massively underpaid right now, and I will want to show him the levels that we would pay for a fight like that on DAZN. Not going to be accepted in a million years. But I would let Devin Haney box Lomachenko on ESPN, no problem.
Joe, Eddie, with that being said, did you hear the Twitter comments Shakur Stevenson when he said all the major promoters should give the room to make boxing great again? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I'm a puppy, I guess. I've only been promoting 10 years, although I've been around boxing for 30 years. You're better off asking Lou DiBella. There's about as much chance of that happening as there is of Lou growing hair and me growing hair, or me losing weight. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like
look, you know, first of all, we still sometimes do make the biggest fights, you know, and people do move around on occasion when the money necessitates it and the fighters demand it, and the promoters are able to work together. But you have to. We have different right now. There are. I hate that term. Different streets and different sides of the street. But there are fighters who are attached to representation that's not going to let them move around and or at least so easily. So it really, you know what, the fans and you guys have a lot to do with causing the demand for a fight to be sufficient enough to necessitate promoters working together. And you know what, I mean, a kid like a Devin Haney who's going to be in Lomachenko's grill until he gets a big fight, his smack talk that some people, I heard a couple of people like buzzing when he started dissing Loma in the ring. But you know what, man, he's trying to do his thing to build the fight. He's trying to do his thing to create demand, and he's trying to show people he'll fight anybody on earth. So I respect that, and eventually, you know, the big fights do tend to happen. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than we would like. Right now, there's some more impediments to making some of those fights happen. Look, it's unfortunate when you see guys out there basically saying, when a fighter himself is saying, look, I like Shakur saying, sit down and try to make the fights. That's cool. Like, I mean, respect to him for doing that. I've seen a lot of shit being said recently by a lot of fighters saying, I'm not fighting on this side of the street, I'm staying where I am. Fuck, do you care what side of the street you're on? I mean, if you're a champion, you want to fight the best guys out there. At least I want to hear the fighters demanding the big fights. And then the public demanding the big fights, the writers calling for the big fights, the fighters demanding the big fights, then we're forced to talk. We're forced to communicate and try to figure out a way to make them happen. You know, they had to make Lennox Lewis and Tyson happen. They had to figure out a way. The pay-per-view was on multiple platforms, you know. I mean, Eddie sent some guys over to ESPN already. ESPN has sent people to DAZN. Ramirez fought Hooker on DAZN. You know, there is history. It can happen. It'll happen more often, but in order for it to happen more often, the fighters themselves have to demand it, the press has to demand it, and most importantly, the people paying the money, the fans, have to